Thank you all for joining. Welcome to our last webinar from 2024, Poolside Chat with the Strategic Procurement Solutions team. Before we begin, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the country. In the spirit of reconciliation, LGP acknowledges the traditional custodians of country throughout this nation and recognizes the continuing connection to land, water, and communities. We pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Some housekeeping tips for this session. This webinar is being recorded and will be made available on our website for future access. Kindly keep your microphones on mute, and we will open for questions at the end of the session. However, as we proceed with the presentation, feel free to post your questions via the Q&A and the chat box, and we'll answer them during the Q&A session. So let me introduce myself. My name is Ananda Sharma, and I'm the Consulting Support Officer with Strategic Procurement Solutions team here at LGP. I have a postgraduate degree in management, a certificate in procurement and contracting, and a background in marketing research, and more recently, strategy and project management. About my LGP journey, in my role, I support the consultants with execution and delivery of procurement solutions and sustainability projects. I act as a customer touchpoint. I respond to councils and supplier queries. And if I don't have all the answers, I try to connect them with the right people and resources within LGP. I organize and host SPS webinars, as you can see. And I also manage projects on behalf of our Director, Strategic Procurement Solutions. Now that I've shared a bit about myself, let's transition to the panel discussion for today. Our session will showcase all our consultants, and we will finish with a few words from our Director, Strategic Procurement Solutions. Our amazing panel of sustainable procurement experts will take turns addressing these questions, alternating between their perspectives. Let's begin our session with Dr. Hadi Rezai Vanchali, who is an ESG expert and the newest addition to our team. Hadi, can you give us some highlights from your first year at LGP?
Thanks, Ananda. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing great. Yes, first year anniversary at LGP, and to be exact, it would be tomorrow, 4th of December. Over the last year, I had the privilege to work on some exciting projects with, of course, amazing team members. But for the sake of this webinar, here in this slide, I would like to share the roadmap that I created to develop a comprehensive circular economy solution in procurement for local government. As you can see, we started by mapping key procurement processing councils, including planning, sourcing, and managing, and we broke down our circular economy initiatives in each process. Number one, in terms of raising an awareness, we published our circular economy white paper in May this year, outlining the challenges that New South Wales councils facing to embed circular economy in their procurement process. And we offered several practical recommendations to overcome those challenges. It receives good attraction from the sector, so we decided to test it again in our LGP conference in October with an interactive workshop to find some emerging challenges in 2024 and some new recommendations. The result was a discussion paper this time, offering 4 key actions to embed circular economy in procurement. We just published yesterday, so still hot, and it's, of course, publicly accessible via our website. I also had a chance to present the outcome, share, and receive feedback from council staff in several networking sessions. In terms of planning, we are working to develop an unique and exciting training program that targets circular economy, local government, and procurement. Hopefully, we can launch the first session by end of Q1 or early Q2 next year, so stay tuned. We're also working to review circular economy goals of all 128 New South Wales councils to find the key themes within the sector. So again, we will share the insight by end of Q1 next year. In terms of sourcing, we recently added circular economy filter tags to all our contract panel. It was a huge project communicating with more than 1,200 suppliers across over 30 LGP contract panels. So from now on, if you're looking to find suppliers that offer circular economy product and services, Just use these filter tags in our contract panel. You can easily identify them. We are also working to review our RFQ and RFT documents, and more importantly, number 8, our contract documents to embed circular economy clauses and KPIs, which can significantly help you to measure the progress and also having commitment from suppliers. So all these activities that we have done and initiated aim to support councils reaching their circular economy goals and make sure they're going towards the broader sustainable procurement goals and alignment with ESG regulation. Before I finish, I would like to mention that LGP is one of the panel experts in Circular Economy Accelerator program funded by New South Wales EPA. So if you are in this program, we would be pleased to be selected by you and support you in your implementation process. Thank you very much for your time, and Ananda, back to you.
Thanks, Hadi. Indeed, the circular economy roadmap looks very promising, and we cannot wait for 2025. Next, I will call upon Mihaela Stanku, Consultant Procurement Solutions, who will talk about her key learnings from probity projects this year. Mihaela.
Thank you, Ananda. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our last webinar. Indeed, we have been approached by Council and engaged for several projects to provide probity advice in the form of a probity advisor and probity auditor. For the probity advisor, we were engaged at early stage of the procurement process on a high value projects funded by government, Commonwealth or state, projects which were political sensitive, and there was an expectation that the local suppliers with no knowledge or qualification may become a bit noisy. There were multiple stakeholders involved in this project, such as council, the facilitator of the procurement process, and the SMEs. And in this project, our role was to ensure that the probity principles of honesty, integrity, fairness, accountability, confidentiality are in place, and to protect the council and the council staff. One key event that I would mention where the role was very important and applied happened when the local suppliers contacted the executives of council because they were not happy with the requirements, them not being qualified to respond to the tender. And the probity advisor, LGP, was engaged to communicate directly, so the council staff was protected from any perceived conflicts of interest and so on. The other type of projects that were involved was probity auditor. So probity auditor is involved when the project is ongoing or when the project has concluded. The example I'm giving you is a project that is ongoing, is high value, is a project with many contract variations. And our role was to look at the delegations in council versus the policy procedures and the legislation, and look at the variances and who approved them and so on. The outcome of this project was to provide to mention the findings and to provide recommendations which the executives will then look at and implement in council. So there's a clarity around the contract variation, the contract value, budget, and so on. So if you feel that you may have projects that resonate with some of the issues that I mentioned, please reach out to us. Thank you, Ananda. That's me.
Thanks, Mihaela. Thanks, Mihaela, for sharing your learnings with us. I would now like to call Tanya Lola, Senior Consultant Sustainable Procurement, to the discussion, who would shed light on biggest challenges facing the councils with respect to modern slavery legislations. Tanya.
Great, thank you, Ananda, and hello, everybody. So a significant portion of my work over the past couple of years has been helping councils respond to new modern slavery legislation. And I've really enjoyed working in this area, and I'm very passionate about assisting councils to do their best to ensure that their procurement activities are not resulting in harm to people. Through this work, I engage with councils a lot, whether that's in person, at events, on Teams meetings, via phone or email, and there are certainly common challenges that are being faced. This year, the main challenges I've been approached about by councils are related to interpreting the Anti-Slavery Commissioner's guidance on reasonable steps and the annual reporting obligations. So the guidance on reasonable steps, or affectionately known as the GRS, was released in December 2023, and it outlines 7 key steps, each with sub-steps, in a very extremely detailed and complex document. The many councils that I've engaged with have all found it very difficult to fully understand what's expected of them and interpret that document. So to support this, we've added a new resource to the LGP Modern Slavery Toolkit for councils. So this is a flowchart that breaks down these steps and aligns them with relevant resources from both the toolkit and the Commissioner's Office. The feedback we've received from councils has been very positive. Many councils have told me that they found this resource very useful and they refer to the flowchart very regularly. So the second challenge relates to annual reporting, specifically the calculation and reporting of procurement spend details required by the Commissioner's reporting template. Councils are required to estimate their procurement spend at various levels of due diligence based on modern slavery risks. And this is using the Commissioner's Inherent Risk Identification Tool, or the IRIT. However, there are 2 main issues that have been identified with this. First, the IRIT has been developed utilising the New South Wales Government Procurement Category Taxonomy, which is not the taxonomy used by councils. And second, many councils don't categorise their spending in a way that allows them to easily extract the necessary data. Now, to address this in some way, we've added a resource to the toolkit that maps local government category codes, so those developed by the National Procurement Network a few years ago, to the IRIT codes. If you're wanting help to map your council's unique category taxonomy to the IRIT categories, this is a service we have and can provide. Please get in touch if this is something you're interested in. We've also shared this resource with the Commissioner's Office and advocating for the inclusion of specific local government taxonomy in the next version of the IRIT. If this happens, it would provide a more user-friendly tool for councils. But in the meantime, the best approach is to estimate the spend by filtering categories in the IRIT by risk level, and then focus your efforts on high and moderate risk areas. While this process is challenging, please know that you're not alone. All councils are currently struggling with this, and we at LGP will continue working with councils and the Commissioner's Office to find better solutions for you. Thank you, Ananda.
Thanks, Tanya. That was very insightful. Now I will call on Evereste Ganzi, Consultant Procurement Solutions, who handled some very challenging projects this year. And I'll ask him to share his takeaways from them. Evereste.
Sorry, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ananda. I have just come up with these 2 challenges to share with you. And as you can see from the screen, the challenge number 1, it is managing procurement projects with multiple categories and overwhelming number of responses. Basically, procurement projects spanning multiple categories are uniquely demanding, as each category requires a tailored approach and engagement with diverse stakeholders and distinct market dynamics. Successfully coordinating such projects calls for significant effort, adaptability, and attention to details. For instance, consider facilitating a request for tender process for a multi-category procurement aimed at establishing a professional services panel. Categories might include environmental and sustainability services, engineering and technical services, planning and project management, marketing and communication, among others. Multi-category tenders often attract a high volume of responses, which, while indicative of strong market engagement, necessitates meticulous planning to ensure each submission is reviewed thoroughly and fairly. This complexity is amplified by the need to collaborate with a large number of evaluation teams, each responsible for assessing specific categories. Close collaboration with evaluation teams and maintaining transparency throughout the process are essential to achieving the desired outcomes. This not only upholds the integrity of the process, but also fosters trust and ensures that all submissions are evaluated on their merits. On the challenge number 2, balancing fast and slow moving projects. Definitely balancing fast moving and slow moving projects is a common yet challenging task. Fast moving projects demand quick decision making, requiring a sharp focus, clear communication with stakeholders, proactive planning, and the deployment of appropriate tools and resources to meet the strict tender timelines. In contrast, slow-moving projects often face delays due to various internal or external factors. These projects require sustained stakeholder engagement, diligent identification and resolution of impediments, and a continuous effort to bring them back on track. In summary, then, balancing the fast and slow-moving projects require ongoing communication and careful prioritization. Thanks, Ananda. Back to you.
Thanks, Evereste, for your learnings from projects with multiple categories and your tips for balancing fast and slow-moving projects. Next, I'll call on Catherine Lustig, consultant and sustainability expert, to talk about an interesting project she did on increasing procurement of recycled content. Catherine, tell us about the project and what you most enjoyed about it.
Well, yes, thank you. The project, as you said, was looking at increasing the procurement of recycled content materials and items by the council. And like most councils we work with, procurement was centre-led, and so that meant that staff across all the sectors were making procurement decisions. And of course, if you want to change the way people are doing procurement, and in this case to increase the procurement of recycled content, we needed to have a heavy focus on behaviour change. So the first thing we needed to do was to understand how staff were making procurement decisions and how they felt about recycled content and the sustainability issues that are related to recycling and waste. We needed to learn about what they knew and any misconceptions they had and what was likely to influence them when it came to procurement decisions. There were a few stages to all of that, and all of those were the part that I most enjoyed about the project. The project itself was probably 4 times larger than that. So the first part of the staff consultation was a survey that went out to all staff with computer access. And what we did there was test staff understanding of council's goals on procurement and on sustainability. We also asked them about how much they personally cared about sustainability. We asked them specific questions about recycled content procurement that they had undertaken, and also that they knew about but hadn't necessarily done themselves, like opportunities that existed. We started to see that there was a lot more knowledge about the opportunities than we expected to have found, and that also a lot of staff were really interested in contributing to change, and that they even believed that they had the power to affect change, but that they really lacked the information to get them there. So one of the things that was really interesting to note in that staff survey is that there were no standout barriers to staff buying recycled content. We'd sort of expected to hone in on a couple that meant that we could focus on those things when we looked at behaviour change. But pretty much everything was a barrier to most staff. So they had concerns about quality, about price, about finding products, how to identify products, and about the procurement processes. And then the second part of staff consultation was focus groups, and I've really enjoyed running those, especially delving into the concerns that staff had about the quality of recycled
products, and also their understanding of eco claims and eco labels. So what makes focus groups really great for me is hearing unexpected things, not just what we're hoping that we're going to hear, because then you have to figure out what to do with the information, and that makes it more interesting. It's not a cookie cutter kind of a project. So for instance, something I didn't expect to hear from anybody was that there was this council officer who wasn't prepared to purchase recycled paper now in 2024 because 20 years ago some recycled paper that they were using had jammed a photocopier. And I know that recycled paper has come a long way in 20 years, and I know that in terms of quality and performance, it's indistinguishable from virgin paper. But and probably also that person has experienced paper jams in photocopiers where the paper wasn't recycled. But it's that kind of concern from a staff member then creates an interesting challenge for us to overcome in changing perceptions, because we can't just say you're wrong. We have to try to change the way they're thinking. And then the third part of the staff consultation was a project control group that met several times over the course of the project and that I facilitated. And that was a chance for me to test ideas with staff from across the council and looking at how we could better measure progress and change procurement, get their feedback on it. So in short, thank you for the question. What I really liked was the staff consultation of that project. Thanks, Ananda.
Thanks, Catherine. Last but not the least, I'll ask Margaret Santo, Director Strategic Procurement Solutions, to give us a glimpse of what's coming up in 2025. Margaret.
Thank you, Ananda. As procurement professionals within a peak body, LGP gathers information from various sources related to local government. LGP represents the interests of local government sharing information, providing procurement advice, resourcing and learning. Strategic Procurement Solutions is a fee-for-service basis unit within LGP. We go beyond information sharing and advice. Our consultants work intimately with council staff delivering projects, lifting sustainable procurement awareness, weaving probity and transparency into everything we do. In working with you, our consultants often translate their experiences into strategic initiatives that have been applied to the LGP contracts or LGP training. This financial year, we landed on 4 focus areas that we derived from our learnings and feedback from you, our sector. These 4 focus areas are seen through the lens of ESG. From an environmental perspective, delivering continued awareness and growth of circular economy, as detailed earlier by Hattie. From a social perspective, modern slavery, next steps and key challenges, as delivered to you from Tanya. And from the governance area, contract management maturity, responding to the New South Wales Audit Office report. And another governance area, probity for spends over 5 million, which Mihaela touched on, but we'll be going in deeper in 2025. My focus is to bring our solutions to you using effective approaches that may be via joint selective appointments with our BDMs, producing topical webinars, interesting and relevant articles for our new LGP newsletter, and of course, through engagements, delivering positive outcomes, delivering strategic procurement solutions. Thank you all for your precious time. With the festive season upon us, I wish you all a happy and safe holiday, and back to you, Ananda.
Thank you, Margaret. Are there any questions? If you have any questions, please feel free to put it in the Q&A or in the chat. Well, looks like we do not have any questions at this point. If after the session you have any questions, feel free to.
Oh wait, we've got one.
We have one from Tracy. I'll just get onto the question. Can someone read the question for me, please?
Please, could you reiterate the information about the Circular Economy Program? Hattie.
Thank you, Tracy. About the circular economy program, I mean, my understanding is that the roadmap that we created, as I mentioned, is about the actions that we mentioned in our recent discussion paper. I'll share the link with you after this webinar. As I said, it's published yesterday. So, and then the type of recommendation under each actions that we can support you or council can work on them to actually embed circular economy principles in their procurement process, and more importantly, how they can measure the progress. So some sort of recommendation about, for example, how you can train your staff, what sort of actions you can apply to actually embed those ones. The second key actions that we suggested in our discussion paper was get leadership on board by incorporating circular economy goals in your high-level strategic procurement documents, such as procurement policies, procurement manual. And then the third action was focus on value rather than just upfront costs. So in terms of how you can apply a different cost monitoring mechanism to make sure that the cost is under control. And finally, the fourth action is strengthen your supply relationship, which is the most important part that can help you to, as I mentioned, to measure the progress by adding some clauses and KPIs within the contract. It would be good to have these sort of effective relationship in your supply relationship management context with your suppliers, to have their commitment and also collaborate with them in some innovative projects. I hope that I could answer your questions, Tracy.
Stacey,
sorry.
Stacey's also asking if we can provide a copy of the slide. I believe that we will be able to send out all the slides.
I would be sharing the slides with all the registries, and the webinar would also be available on our website a few weeks later. Are there any questions?
I think Stacey raised.
Stacey again.
No, that was about the slides.
Oh.
Yep, I think we're wrong button. No worries. All right, thank you very much, everybody, for your valuable time, and thank you very much to my all our consultants, and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you all in 2025 with a variety of exciting new topics. Please reach out to us at sps@lgp.org.au or sustainablechoice@lgp.org.au. I've also left my personal contact details, my email, asharma@lgp, and my phone number. Thank you all for joining us.